Hello students, welcome back to Wikipedia word videos. My topic for the presentation is first section of the chapter Kindom Plantae. In this section of the video, I'll be giving you an overview about the Kindom Plantae. And chances are you can thank a plant for your clothes, your food, and even your house. So this section of presentation will explore the Kindom Plantae, including characteristic plants, share as well as some facts and example of organism within this kingdom. Okay, so what is the definition of Kindom Plantae, students? There are creatures living among us that use air and water to make sugar. Isn't it sound magical? You probably take them for granted, but you should not. They make the air you breathe, and the food you eat, the fiber for your clothes, dye for your fabrics, and building material for your house, and legs for your table. I I could keep going, but you get the idea. Kindom Plantae is one of six kingdom of organisms, and it includes every plant you could imagine, from the moss growing on a forest floor to the mighty towering trees. Okay, so there are different types of plant species which are found on planet Earth. They are sorted, they are classified into separate kingdom which is known as Kindom Plantae. Students, in the chapter biological classification, we have seen the broad classification of living organism under the system which was proposed by Whittaker, wherein he suggested five kingdom classifications such as monerans, protistans, fungi, animalia, and plantae. So in this chapter we will deal in detail with further classification within Kindom Plantae, which is popularly known as plant kingdom, students. Okay, and this classification is based on their similarities and difference. Students, please note that Kindom Plantae is also called as Kingdom Metaphyta. The Kindom Plantae, it includes all types of eukaryotic multicellular photosynthetic plant. What do you mean by photosynthetic plant? The plant which make their own food by the process known as photosynthesis. They are called as photosynthetic plant. So these are found in this biosphere, okay, under Kindom Plantae. Most of the organism in this kingdom is autotrophs, which synthesize their own food with the help of solar energy. There are very few species which are both autotrophs and heterotrophs. Now we'll talk about the definition. The Kindom Plantae can be defined as multicellular. They are autotrophic eukaryotes. Why they are called as autotrophic eukaryotes, students? Because they make their own food by the process known as photosynthesis using solar energy. Okay, and all members of this family, they comprise of true nucleus and advanced membrane bound organelles such as endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, chloroplast. So these all are membrane bound organelles, and they are quite different from animals. Kindom Plantae cells, they are quite different from animals, and Kindom Plantae, they contain about 3 lakh different species of plants. And among the five Kindom Plantae is a very important, as they are the source of food for all other living creatures present on planet Earth, which depends on plant to survive. I hope Kindom Plantae is clear to you now. So what makes plant unique from the other kingdom, and how can moss and a fir tree be in the same kingdom? Kingdoms are grouped based on the shared characteristic, and plants have quite a few. Okay, so plants, they are autotrophs, meaning they can make their own food. Animals, in contrast, they are heterotrophs, so they must consume other organisms for food. Plant, they make their own food through a process known as photosynthesis, where plant takes carbon dioxide gas, water, and light from atmosphere and transform these three ingredients into sugar and oxygen that we inhale. Okay, Remember, carbon dioxide from air and water from root and energy from sun combine to make oxygen and sugar. Okay, that means most plant they are multicellular, meaning they are made up of more than one cell, and simple organism like bacteria they are unicellular, meaning their whole body consists of just one cell. So plants are eukaryotes, that's why they are called as autotrophic eukaryotes. I hope it is clear to you now. That, which means their cell they are more complex than those of prokaryotes. And plants they have cell wall, which is an additional structure that makes the cell more rigid, you can say. And plants they are sessile, which means they cannot move around. So most of the plants they are eukaryotic and chlorophyll containing organisms, and cell wall of plant cell they are comprised of cellulose. They have an ability to grow by cell division. And in a life cycle of a plant cell, the interchanges occur from embryos and they are supported by other tissues and they self produce. Plant have both organ and organ system. They obtain their energy from sun in the form of solar energy, and thus they make their own food by the process known as photosynthesis. Plant they reproduce both by sexual and asexual means. Plant they develop a self-defense mechanism such as mechanical defense and chemical defense to protect them from being destroyed by grazing animals such as cattle, fungi and other plants. Organisms within Kingdom Plantae, they are multicellular, they are eukaryotes, and they are autotrophic. That means they make their own food by the process known as photosynthesis using solar energy. And they lack motility. That means they cannot move around from one place to another. So they are sessile. They lack motility. They cannot move from one place to another. Okay, so that's why they are considered as sessile. Students, the Kingdom Plantae is a vast group. Therefore, a kingdom is further divided into subgroups. And which are those subgroups? These five are subgroups. Now, the question arises, level of classification is based on what criteria? So it is based on three criteria. First is plant body, second is vascular system, and third is seed formation. First is plant body, whether the plant body has well differentiated structure or not. On the basis of plant body, this level of classification is based. Now the second criteria is vascular system, whether the plant has vascular system for transportation of substance or not. What is vascular system? Vascular system comprise of xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem they both are conducting tissues. I have already taught you in the chapter anatomy of flowering plant. You can refer to that for better understanding because there I have explained in detail. Then the third criteria is seed formation, whether the plant bear flower and seed or not. If it does, then whether it is enclosed within fruit or it is naked. So on these three criterias, level of classification of plant kingdom is divided into subgroups. First criteria is plant body, second is vascular system, and third is seed formation. So considering all these factors, the plant kingdom has been divided into five subgroups. They are as follows: Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms, and Angiosperms. I hope it is clear to you now that Kingdom Plantae is divided into five subgroups because Kingdom Plantae is a vast group. Therefore, the kingdom is to be divided in subgroups, and they are five in number: Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, and Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. So in this section of the video, we will be focusing on Thallophyta, and in second section of the chapter, we will be discussing about the Bryophyta, then Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms, and finally Angiosperms. Okay. So let's proceed towards our main topic of interest, and that is Thellophyta. But before that, just know that vascular tissue help in transporting substances such as water, mineral, and sugar throughout the plant body. And seed are the structure which contain an embryo that helps in storing food. So Kingdom Plantae, it is divided into Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Angiosperms, and Gymnosperms. If you see broad in a broad way, okay. Whereas five are there, Thallophyta is also there, but broadly if you see, then Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Angiosperms, and Gymnosperms. Plant kingdom is divided into two: cryptogamy and phanerogams. Cryptogams is of three types: Thallophyta, Bryophyta, and Pteridophyta, and phanerogams are Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Green algae, they are thought to have given rise to higher plants. It is believed that green algae are thought to have given rise to higher plants. They have the same pigment storage products and cell wall type. Also, many of them live in fresh water. Okay, and the different plant selected for adaptation that allowed them to exploit more of the terrestrial regions. Okay, so if you see, ancestral algae has given rise to liverworts and mosses, which both are bryophytes. And ancestral algae is bifurcated to give mosses on one side and ferns on another side, and gymnosperms and angiosperms. So gymnosperms and angiosperms, they have flower and fruits in it, and seeds and pollen appear in gymnosperms and angiosperms, and in ferns, true vascular tissue and lignin just appears. Okay, so fern, gymnosperms, and angiosperms, they are called as tracheophytes, and liverworts and mosses, they are called as bryophytes. I hope it is clear to you now. Now we'll be focusing on the Thallophyta algae. It is the branch of a botany that deals with the study of algae, and that is called as phycology. Phyco means algae and logy means study. So study of algae is known as phycology or algology. It is derived from Greek word phykos, which means algae or seed wheat. They are simple. They are autotrophic. Autotrophic means they make their own food by the process known as photosynthesis using solar energy. And they are non-vascular plants. That means they don't have xylem and phloem for conduction of mineral and waters. And they have unicelled sex organs, and no embryo formation takes place in this subgroup of Kingdom Plantae, that is Thallophyta algae. And according to this scientist Friss, the designation alga must include all holophytic organisms. See, this is what? This is Thallophyta algae. They have specialized habitats. See, on the basis of their habitats, they are divided into few subgroups. So first is cryophytes, plant that grow on snow or ice, they are called as cryophytes. And then comes thermophytes, the plant that grow in hot water spring, and they are called as thermophytes. Then comes epiphytes, several algal form, they grow on other plants such as alga, angiosperms, they are called as epiphytes. Examples are Oedogonium, Cladophora, and Vaucaria. Okay, so they are epiphytes that form or grow on other plants such as angiosperms and algae, and obtain its nutrition from the host plant. Okay, and examples are Oedogonium, Gladophora, and Vaucaria. Okay, I hope these three are clear to you. Now, cryophyta that grow on snow or ice, they are called as cryophytes. Then comes thermophytes that grow in hot water spring area, and they are called as thermophytes. And epiphytes that grow on other plant body or host body, they are called as epiphytes. I hope it is now clear to you. Then comes endophytes, some blue-green algae, that is BGA. B for blue, G for green, and A for algae. So some BGA, it grows as endophytes inside other plants. For example, Anabine azole. It grows inside the leaf of azolla. Azolla is a fern plant, okay? And Anabina is a blue-green algae, and it grows inside the fern plant, that is azolla, okay? So they are called as endophytes. Then comes epizoic. Algae that grows on the body of animals, they are described as epizoic. For example, Cladophora crispata, it grows on a snail shell. See, this is the Cladophora that is growing on the snail's shell. This is the snail shell, and this is the Cladophora that grows on the body of a snail's shell, and that's why they are called as epizoic. That grows on the body of animal, and that's why they are described as epizoic. Then comes Endozoic. Endozoic, alga that grows inside the body of animal, just opposite to epizoic. In epizoic algae, they grow on the body of animal, whereas in endozoic algae, they grow inside the body of animals. Okay, so chlorella, it grows within the tissue of hydra. As you can see, that this is zoochlorella that is found inside the hydra. So this is endozoic. It is seen that Thellophyta algae has some symbiotic forms. Some algae like chlorella, nostoc, they grow in symbiotic relationship with members of Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes, which is a fungi, and that constitute a lichen. That means fungi plus algae, they together form lichens. Okay, I hope it is clear to you now. I have already taught you about the types of fungi, that is Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, in the chapter biological classification. You can refer to that for better understanding. Okay, now it is seen that Thallophyta algae, they are parasites. Example is alga Cephaloros virescens. They grow on the parasite on the tea leaf. Okay, thallus organization. If you talk about the Thallophyta algae thallus organization, the algae, they show a considerable variation in the organization of thallus. And unicellular form, several members of algae, they are unicelled. They may be motile, as in case of chlamydomonas. They are motile, that means they can move from one place to another, whereas diatom, they are non-motile, they cannot move from one place to another, but they are unicelled. And then comes multicellular form. Multicelled algae, they show a considerable range in their organization. Multicellular form, multicelled algae, they show a considerable range in their organization. They are colonial, they are planeloid, they are dendroid, and they are filamentous. Now, what is colonial? That means they form colony, and that colony consists of independent organism, while the colony of volvox is motile and that of hydrodictyon is fixed. Okay, then comes planeloid. Planeloid, here the vegetative cells of alga get surrounded by mucilaginous matrix, and it is seen in tetraspora. So this is tetraspora. Here the vegetative cells of algae get surrounded by a mucilaginous matrix. See, this is alga, which is shown by this green color, and this round or circle like is mucilage matrix. Okay, so it is seen in tetraspora. Then comes dendroid multicellular form. See, these four are the forms of multicellular algae. Okay, so colonial is understood, planeloid is understood. Now comes dendroid. Here the colony appears like a microscopic tree, and there is a secretion of mucilage from polar end, and it is seen in Ecbalocystis. Okay, see, colony, this is the colony that appears like a microscopic tree. See, this is appearing like a microscopic tree, and there is a secretion of mucilage from polar end. Then comes another multicellular form, and that is filamentous. The filament may be uniceriate or multiceriate. It could be free floating, it could be attached, it could be unbranched, as in case of Eulothrix, or it could be branched, as in case of Cladophora. See, this is branched. So it could be unbranched, it could be branched, as in case of Cladophora. They could be free floating, they could be attached, they could be uniceriate and multiceriate. Okay, now we'll talk about the classification, students. It is seen that algae, they are classified into 11 classes. And who did that classification? Linnaeus. He differentiated a group of plant which is called as algae, where he included lichens and liverworts also. But Friss, in year 1935, he classified algae into 11 classes, which are as follows: Chlorophyce, which is green algae; Xanthophyce, yellow-green algae; Chrysophyce, Basilario which is also called as diatom; Cryptophyce, Dinophyce, which is dinoflagellate; and Chloromonidae and Euglenidae, which are also called as euglenoids; brown algae, which is called as Phaeophyce; Rhodophyce, which is red algae; and Myxophyce, which is blue-green algae. Okay, so first we'll be studying about the silent features of some selected class. Not all. We'll be studying about the 5 classes. Chlorophyce, because it is there in the our NCERT book, so we'll be focusing on only on the 5 classes of Thallophytae algae. So first is Chlorophyce, students. They form unicelled to parenchymatous, and cell they show eukaryotic organization. And chief pigments, they are chlorophyll A, B, G carotens, lycopene, lutein, and zeaxanthin. Okay, and reserve food material in case of Chlorophyce class is starch and oil, and it is seen that zoospore formation takes place. Male gametes, they are flagellate, and flagella is identical. Plant, freshwater, it could be freshwater also and marine also. And it is seen that in Chlorophyce family, sexual reproduction takes place, such as isogamous, anisogamous, and oogamous. Okay, then comes Xanthophyce. Plants generally are freshwater. Xanthophyce, they are generally freshwater plants. They form unicelled to siphonous and cell showing eukaryotic organization. Chief pigments of Xanthophyce are chlorophyll A, E, and beta carotene, violaxanthin, and neoxanthin. And reserve food material of this class, Xanthophyce, is chrysolaminarin and oil. Okay, so this is this reserve food material of Xanthophyce, that is chrysolaminarin and oils. And it is seen that in Xanthophyce, zoospore formation occurs. Male gametes, they are flagellate, and flagella are non-identical, as unlike the previous class. Okay, and they are unequal. Sexual reproduction also takes place in Xanthophyce, such as isogamous, anisogamous, or oogamous. Tribonema and Botryidium, they both are the examples of Xanthophyce family. Then comes Phaeophyce. They are marine plants. They form unicell to parenchymatous and cell showing eukaryotic organization. That means they are eukaryotes. Chief pigments are chlorophyll A, C, beta carotene, fucoxanthin, lutein, and violaxanthin, and diatoxanthin. And reserve food material in class Phaeophyce is laminarin, mannitol, and oil. Zoospore formation occurs. Male gamete are flagellate, and flagella of male gamete, they are unequal. And it is seen that sexual reproduction occurs through isogamous, anisogamous, and oogamous. Then comes Rhodophyce, students. Plants generally are marine. Rhodophyce plants, they are generally marine. That means they are found in seawater. They form filamentous, as you can see, they form a filamentous like structure to parenchymatous. And cell, they show eukaryotic organization. That means that is eukaryote. Chief pigments of rhodophyceae are chlorophyll A, D, which is present, but chlorophyll C is absent. A, B carotene, lutein, violazanthin, fucoxanthin, myxoxanthin, and Z phycoerythrin, phycocyanin, and L-phycocyanin. These are the chief pigments of rhodophyceae. Reserve food is in the form of Floridian starch, galactin, SO4 and polymers. No zoospore formation takes place in Rhodophyceae family. Please note that. And male gametes, they are non-flagellate. Reproduction takes place by a specialized type of oogamy. And life cycle is haplobiontic or diplobiontic. I'll be explaining you about the life cycle such as haplobiontic and diplobiontic and haplobiontic in my next or you can say in the last section of a presentation of this chapter, that is Kindom Plantae. Okay, now comes fifth family, and that is Myxophyceae, which is also known as Cyanophyceae. Plants of this class, they are generally freshwater and few are from marine. They form unicell to filamentous cell. They show prokaryotic organization. Unlike all other classes that we have studied so far, they are prokaryotes. And chief pigments are chlorophyll A, beta carotene, lutein, myxoxanthin. These are the main pigments that are found in Myxophyceae class of Thallophyta algae. Then no zoospore formation takes place, no flagellate bodies, and no sexual reproduction takes place in the class Myxophyceae of Thallophyta algae. I hope all five classes of Thallophyta algae are clear to you now. And this was all about it. In my next section of the presentation, that is second section, we'll be studying about the bryophytes. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Edpedia Word videos. Thank you.